primary mission for us, especially at this time, is to educate our children, to teach them everything we can possibly teach them that is good. There's 4 things that our children need to know. And Jelani, you said it when you were up here a moment ago. And that first thing is we need to teach them their true and valid, authentic identity. Like, who are you? You're a child of God. You're a human being having a spiritual, you're having a spiritual spirit having a human experience. You're mostly spirit. So when your body if your body gets sick and breaks down, understand you're mostly spirit. This is a vessel for your spirit. And to the extent that your spirit is done, your body quits. Ashe? We talk about dying, but we ain't ready to die. Whether you're in good health or not, you should be ready to die every day. The level of your life, the quality of your living should be such that you are ready to go at any moment. Because the reality is you might. You might go at any moment. And that's not a morbid, sad thought. That's a joyful thought. Because if you do the best you can do in every moment, when God comes for you, you are ready to go. Ashe? So our children need to understand that you have a spiritual identity, that you have a cultural identity. You are African. Now, you might be an American African. You might be a Senegalese African. You might be an East Coast African. You might be a Bentley African. You might be an Ile-Omode African. You might be an Oakland School of the Arts African. You might be a Chicago African. You might be a Gambian, a Pine Bluff, Arkansas African, but you African. Because when the society look at you, they see you as black. And there ain't no country named black. Ain't no continent named Black Land. We call it right now, we call it Africa. We might have called it other things. If your ancestors came from there, you African. If we had a box of oranges, and those oranges came from Florida, and you put them in California, they still oranges. Right? You could take some Africans and put us on a ship and bring us over here, and 100 years, 200, 300 years later, it don't matter, you still African. Them your cousins and aunties and uncles. Teach our children their true identity. That's the first thing. Number 2, share with our children a legacy of competence. A legacy of competence that black people, African people are good at a lot of things. That in any endeavor, you can be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, plumber, IT person, artist. It doesn't matter. We've been good at it at some point in time. There's typically, even things that are getting invented now. We got scientists that you can look at the example of Elijah McCoy. You can get an example of George Washington Carver. If you're an educator, you can look at Mary McLeod Bethune. Thank you for that historical tribute. Because Sister Bethune was an amazing person. Imhotep was the first architect, multi-genius, known to be the world's first physician. Black people, African people are competent, and that legacy should be shared with our children. Because the baseline for excellence is competence. You can't be excellent unless you're competent. You get competent on that trumpet, and then you can move and be like Ambrose Akintunde and be excellent at it. But you can't be excellent without being competent. So start there. A legacy of competence. John Coltrane started playing saxophone at church. So did Monk. Aretha Franklin played piano and sang in the choir at her daddy's church before she sang R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That laid the foundation for that. Ashe? That's number 2. So true and valid, authentic identity, a legacy of competence. Third, teach our children and understand a legacy of acquired immunity. A legacy of acquired immunity. What do I mean by that? There are some things in life that you don't have to try and mess up at. You can ask somebody about it before you do that. You don't have to be a crackhead. There's a bunch of people already tried that. They found out that ain't a good thing. You don't have to try to be the meth head. People did that already. It messes your skin and your teeth up bad. Right? You ain't got to be no thug out here saying, I'm going to take this person's shoes or take their whatever, because we know where you're going to end up at San Quentin, Soledad, Juvenile Hall. Acquired immunity is the same thing that those of us a little bit older, when you were growing up in the South, my parents and their generation, they didn't tell us to be scared of white folks. They just said be careful about white folks. Because white folks in our community were violent people. The Ku Klux Klan was a violent domestic terrorist group. All right? And there were certain